Hey, my name's Ryan Schumacher, and this is my second year of teaching. It's my first year at Palmyra Area Middle School as an 8th grade algebra and pre-algebra teacher. Um, Last year, I taught in the Reading School District in 6th grade, also in mathematics, and it's been quite a transition from an urban district from last year to where I'm at now in a suburban district. So it's been a great experience being able to kind of see both sides of the spectrum, and um, couldn't be happier about where I'm at right now. A little bit about myself. I live a pretty active lifestyle. I really enjoy being outdoors and working out. That picture there up top is actually in Sedona, Arizona. I have family that lives out there, and I'm playing foot golf. It's like a mixture of playing soccer on the golf course, and you have to land it close to the hole. So that was a really neat experience doing that. But I usually am always working out after school, and kind of keeps me in the mood and keeps me level-headed a lot. Um, I'm also very family-oriented. I love traveling with friends and family. The other picture there with the boat, that's a photograph of my family in the Cayman Islands. We were able to kind of take a boat trip one day and just be able to do some fishing and snorkeling, which was great, a great time. Um, and lastly, some info about myself is that teaching actually wasn't my first choice. When I attended Elizabethtown College, um, I went into accounting, but teaching has always been, I feel like, in my blood. Um, my family members and friends have always told me that you're such a good individual with young children and students, and I only lasted about 3 weeks in accounting before I realized that teaching was really what I wanted to do, and I haven't regretted that whatsoever anymore. Some of my experiences with online teaching or classes, I only had one experience when I was in college, um, in which I had a writing and short story class. There were benefits, but there were also some negatives to it in the way that the professor wasn't easily accessible. He was dealing with some of his own issues that he wasn't able to kind of really put in the time for his students. But at the same time, when we were able to do some discussions, it was really beneficial that we were able to kind of collaborate with colleagues and understand um, how we were the same and how we had different views. And I really like that aspect. I believe we used Google, like a Google Classroom type setting, which was really neat to experience. When I first started reading What is Good Teaching, um, I think it's kind of viewed differently for each teacher. From a perspective of a brick and mortar teacher, my goal is to promote a culture of learning among my students so that they can harness the goal for development and growth each and every day. And personally, I had to watch the video a few times until I saw what their message was. At first, I felt that teaching online was just between a teacher and a student, mainly just one-on-one without the effectiveness of a classroom. But what I saw kind of changed my mind. It has a very similar goal in which both the brick and mortar school and an online school attempts to make connections with their students. And this idea of using the emojis and the green and red checks is very similar to a check-in system that I use with thumbs up versus thumbs down for student understanding. And they're also engaging their students through small groups in which students can be working collaboratively as the teacher can check in with each group. So I think that's a great idea. But at the same time, each setting has their own flaws. And in my first year of teaching, I dealt with much more discipline than I ever anticipated. And each day I was dealing with disruptive behaviors that is not only that isn't seen in an online setting as much. But however, the downfall of the online experience is that the teacher is unable to see their own students due to privacy concerns. So I think this is it's a little bit disheartening to me, because I truly believe that it's special to be able to work with students face to face and see their emotions change right in front of you. And um, that includes both positive and negatives because it allows me to shift my teaching if I know a student is struggling. Um, I think the final statement I have is about level of attention. As we continue into the 21st century, I notice that attention levels of students continue to change as technology improves. So students are learning at a younger age of how to maneuver around technology and find shortcuts. So I believe that good teaching has a mixture of both traditional paper and pencil teaching along with use of technology as a resource, but not as a replacement for learning. Some of the challenges of online teaching that I saw was the course content. It surprised me that there is such a wide variety of models that online teachers could follow based on the schools that they are working for. I always figured that there would be a set of guidelines to follow across the board. From my own experiences, I think that being able to incorporate your own set of skills makes each class unique, and each student has their own learning style, and being able to kind of work with those can make the lessons so much more engaging for the students. I think that doing the research could allow myself to see a broader spectrum of these models that they talk about. Um, the second challenge of teaching online that kind of interested me was the student issues. And just as it happens in the regular classroom, the lack of motivation also takes place in the online environment. And I believe that what helps a classroom become more motivating is to have the students be able to provide their own feelings of how it should be run. A nice complement of teacher ideas and student ideas might motivate the students to want to succeed when they have a say of the rules, routines, and rewards, and etc. So what also is interesting is the ability to engage those students. So when I teach math, I try to make it as relatable as possible, and by having different resources, it allows students to see how they connect. So at Palmyra, we use a website called Desmos, and I've attached that to this link here, this video. And it allows students to see how graphing lines in different contexts and shifting lines will provide them a better way of learning than just drawing it on paper and pencil. So like I said, I attached a link that you can kind of play around with there. And then we talk a little bit about the INACOL standards. And I think it's very similar to Danielson's domain, to which teachers are upheld to in districts. At least we use it here at Palmyra, and they both have similarities to which teachers are supposed to follow to improve student learning. After watching the advertisements, the first film seemed to be more engaging for students and gave examples of how teachers could help students and parents learn to succeed. So the K-12 individualized learning spoke about the goals of individualized students. Teachers can reflect on the goals that were chosen and determine if they are still applicable and what modifications can be made for the students so that they can grow to the next level. This shows the teachers being cognizant of diversity of the students' academic needs, which relates to, I believe, Standard F. And this same video continues to follow the standards as it talks about flexibility with parents in which they choose if the academics are appropriate for their child. So Standard J speaks to this in terms of having the teacher be professional with not only colleagues but parents too, which is an important role of a classroom dynamic online or brick and mortar. And finally, the K-12 program engages the students, so students learn at their own level to achieve success, just as in Standard B. And some of the aspects that I feel like might not fit with the standards, it could possibly be the Connections Academy. They stress the importance of grades and not the individual student from my standpoint, and the standards really focus on how each individual grows and develops, but this advertisement does not as much. And as an educator, I look for growth from a student, not just someone who can spit back memory on an assessment in this case. So I look forward to kind of continuing with this class and seeing how my role as a brick and mortar teacher can kind of grow from understanding what it might be like to teach in an online setting. So thank you.